taking part. Irritating person. But that's a good thing. The point about restrictive laws, of course they need to go. But one of the things we really need to pay attention to is this culture of terrible mediocrity that is encouraged in the press. I mean, how many of you used to quite religiously, although we complained and everything, read, say, The Star in 1993, 1994, 95? Yeah? Almost everybody, no? I remember when we did, I think Aslan was involved as well, when we had 40 years of Merdeka. I think we got a group of journalists, about 10, 15 of us, and each of us, selected 1 year whereby we explored the chief event of that year. And they were also done in the NST and even in places like Utusan and things like that. I mean, that thing is just not allowed anymore. Not even allowed, it's just not encouraged anymore. I was just talking about how if you try and get a piece, a sensible, fairly reasonable, profound piece in the Star, they'll give you 800 words. But they give some, some lifestyle story, 2 whole pages. It's insidious. It's a culture of mediocrity that's taking root. And those who grow up in journalism today know no other kind of avenue. The urbanization question is also very interesting because, we work in Kelantan, we constantly get this thing, oh, Kelantan, horribly terrible traditional state. Well, we must always remember that the traditional conservative Malay is actually a very liberal Malay, yeah? Whose ability to deal with difference is a very important thing. Whereas when I go into a place like Bangi, I feel absolutely horrified, and Shah Alam for that matter is one major kind of Islamic State phenomenon. It's like so boring. It just your blood kind of freezes. That's not a problem in a place like Kelantan. In Kelantan, for example, for years we've been doing work in traditional theatre, and we do something called the Mind Putri, which is a therapeutic healing thing. And it's banned by the past government, but it still goes on. 23 years, it's still been going on. And we have, for example, treated a woman. She lives in a kampong in Bacho, and she's married to this man, has been married to him for maybe now about 30 years. This woman is a transsexual. And lives very, very comfortably in that community and is accepted and things like that. So the traditional conservative Malay is actually very liberal Malay, and what we see, the phenomenon of the Abim types that came back in the 70s, highly educated, overseas experience, who now inhabit places like Bangi and Shah Alam. They are the ones that really are quite boring. Anyway, more questions, please. 1, 2, 3.
My name is Edward. This hudud issue, right? They have rehashed it again, as I expected them to do so sometime in this election. And of course, on the opposition, they have their, I think, the common platform. I think that's what it's called, right? And hudud's not in there, if I'm not mistaken. Why haven't we heard from the other past leaders to clarify the situation, on this hudud issue? Why haven't they come out to say anything? I mean, at least I haven't read anything from them. Yeah, this is my question.
Hi everyone, my name is Lim. I'm from Kelantan also. But it's not Kelantan I want to share. I wanted to ask people around this room, what do you think about the extent of race and religion that will influence the outcome of this religion? Or is it a case this time that there's less of an issue now? It's more of a class war? Yeah, that's the question I want to ask.
My name is Bernice. Actually, my question is mainly directed to the Editor of the Malaysian Insider, actually, of which I am an avid reader of several times a day, actually. Don't update fast enough. Actually, my question is, perhaps you could share some behind-the-scenes statistics in terms of what you have seen in terms of your spike, if there has been any, in terms of the hits that you're getting on a daily basis since the election has been announced, and if you have any very nerdy Google analytical type information about whether your access is mainly coming from mobile devices. Can you see, and if you can, what are you seeing in terms of your demographic breakdown, in terms of who is reading you a lot more? I mean, obviously you'll see a lot from Selangor and from Kuala Lumpur, but where else? Who else is looking? I think it's an interesting thing, because by looking behind the scenes at what is coming into Malaysia and reading Malaysian content will tell us a lot also about what's going on in the mental psyche of most voters, if not the external Malaysians watching the election. Thank you.
Why don't you take that first?
Actually, I'll take the hudud one first, that's the easiest. Okay, hudud. Actually, Harun did say that they will implement hudud if they take power. But technically, they won't have enough votes to implement hudud. You have to remember, PAS got out, a bunch of Islamic scholars got out of UMNO in 1951 because UMNO in 1951 said they were not going to pursue an Islamic state. It wasn't in their charter. They wanted to have the liberal Melayu state that Edin was talking about in Kelantan. Yeah, the traditional Malay is very liberal. You know, it's when he spends too much time for the Hajj that then his mind wanders somewhere else. So they did say, they have said many times, we will implement hudud if we take power on their own. In a coalition government, obviously, the moment they say that, you're going to see DAP walk out like they did in 2001 in Terengganu. The Barisan Alternative collapsed. I don't think Mr. Anwar Ibrahim, who's a closet fundamentalist, what do you think I was going to say? So yeah, he is Muslim through and through. Even if he agreed with it, I think, you know, Pakatan like PKR is amazing. It has people from the left, right, everywhere. If there's any one guy who can create one Malaysia, his name is Anwar Ibrahim. He can balance the fundamentalists on the right and the leftists on the left and bring them all together at the same table. So yes, they have mentioned hudud. They will do it if they take power on their own. Okay? But as I said earlier, we've been scared of this hudud thing for 23 years. You know, it's not going to happen in Malaysia. As long as we have enough people to say, like my friend over there who drinks wine, to say, look, we can't have this, right? First question. What was the second question? Class war. Yes, we are actually beginning to see class war among the Malays, among the Chinese, among anyone. The fact is, right now, you know, I just heard this yesterday, a lot of Chinese are boycotting Philip Siu in the house. He owns Noble House and all that. A lot of people are boycotting his restaurants, right? Because he went out of his way to organize some dinner in PKFZ. So yeah, so there is a class war. People are not happy. The cronies are getting richer. The rest of us are getting poorer. And that's why our per capita per month is 5,000 ringgit. More people get richer, more people get poorer. You spread it out. You get, on average, we each earn 5,000 a month. Class war. Watch out for it. No more race war from this election, after this election, for the next 3-4 elections. Okay, we're going to suffer because of that. Getting geeky. I do have some Google Analytics. 30% of our traffic is mobile. 70% of our traffic is Malaysian. Our highest other traffic is Singapore, Perth, and then it is Los Angeles, and one city in Moscow. I don't know why. Right? I don't trust Malaysian statistics because the IP addresses change all the time. If you have a mobile device, it says your IP address is Kajak, where you're here. Right? Have we seen a spike? I can't buy you a round of drinks, but since Parliament was dissolved April 3rd, we're making more money via Google AdSense. We've also added a loading for our advertising. So I run a lot of DAP's past ads from MCA, but I charge them a lot. So I can buy you, I haven't got the money, so I can't buy you anything. But yes, there's a huge spike. People are accessing the sites more. But fifth day of election campaign, today I realized that actually the best story and saddest story was Madam Irene who died in Bukit Gasing. I think people are actually turned off by political stories. I personally am. My friend Aswan was saying that, Aswan said, we've been campaigning for the last 1 year. I think no, this campaign has been for the last 5 years. I personally am tired. I think people want to see more stories outside political stories. Because again, I think everyone has made up their mind. They just want to know whether enough people turn up for Choice Malik's ceramah, or really, did Anwar Ibrahim get 20,000 people in Segamat last night and they want to see the pictures. They want to see pictures, they want to see videos. They skip through all the text, unless there's something salacious like how big is Mustafa Ali's suspender. Nobody knows. Right? Thank you.
Cheryl, you didn't ask for Google Analytics data from BFM, but I'll give you some anyway. Only because I think it's quite emblematic of what is happening with the media and the public sphere. Yeah, no, it's okay. Grab the moment. So we do these videos. What we learned very recently is that we've been doing videos of about 8 minutes. That's the duration. And then with our series called Battle for Malaysia, we extended to 16 because we thought we'll get deep into issues. That would be like the Hirtoyo interview I did. But what we found out was that the average viewing time is something between 3 to 4 minutes. And that some 80% of our videos are viewed on mobile devices. Now, what does that mean? What does it mean for people getting the whole story? We also know that people take our longer videos, cut the most dramatic moments out of those videos, and then redistribute it. Again, so there's this perhaps tentative conclusion you can draw that people are interested in politics as a form of entertainment, it's drama, or they think we're bad editors and we should just drop most of it and we just could have said it in less time. So that all might be. And I think that one of the issues I think in the long term for Malaysia and the media is how do we encourage people to think more kind of thoroughly about issues. Not to just grab headlines or factoids or quick and tentative conclusions about things. And it's very difficult. I think just getting people to be consistent about their principles, that when they have a certain principle that they hold or they deploy when they're trying to make claims for themselves, that they have to actually extend that to other people. I've done shows where we talked about advertising. We had some irate callers come in and say, Indians have been missing from, advertising in Malaysia. And when I said, well, there are other communities also that have gone invisible in, mainstream advertising, they said, I don't really care. I'm an Indian. I don't care about Indians. Now, this is a problem. And I said, well, that makes you selfish. That kind of consistency is I think, lacking. We deploy in-principle arguments for very sectarian, very selfish reasons, and we find, this is a massive generalization, but I think that a lot of people do not know how to use a principle. They don't see that the principle has to be used in some sense universally, and that there are consequences to deploying a principle. So these are implications for our public culture in the long run, and I think it's something that is not going to be addressed by the kind of political changes that are happening in our country. But I just for a quick clarification, I don't think there is no difference between Pakatan and Barisan. I have actually a very personal position on this. I do think one side is better than the other. At this point in time, I see it as a bridge to break the back on the authoritarian state. So I won't say that, I don't want to be misinterpreted. I don't think, and I don't want to be misunderstood. I don't think there is no difference between the Barisan and Pakatan. I think there is a crucial difference, and the difference is about the general elections and about the future of the state, and whether we can graduate to something more democratic.